Welcome to Afternoon Garage. So if you watched my video last week, you saw I took possession of this 1977 Porsche 911 and really excited about getting started working on the car. One of the first things I'm going to do is, the car can't see very well because it has these silly sugar scoop headlights on it. I'm going to change these right away and get the European style on there. And hey, you know, there's a bunch of different options I could choose for this. I could choose to go with a chrome trim around it, you know, a color coded like this. This is Guards Red. Or, hey, I could even go with maybe a black trim or something around the headlights. So I decided to go with a color coded trim ring. So I hung them up, primed the trim rings with epoxy primer. It's important to use a good primer on this. It's on the front of the vehicle. You don't want it chipping. And then painted it Guards Red. Let's go to the bench, see how they turned out, and I'll show you some tools I'm going to use today to put these in. So here I have the Euro spec H4 type headlight. You can see the profile, it's kind of a little thinner, and it has a regular H4 incandescent bulb in there. However, I'm going to be switching these out to LEDs here. So if you watch one of my other videos, so I'll put the LED back in. Pull it out. Uh-oh. That's not the same. This one's flat, that one's turned. So, where we set the wrong thing, really need to check this out and make sure that it's shining, these LED chips are in the right orientation. So interestingly enough, it came with some instructions here, and under the warm tips, I'm not quite sure what that means. It says make sure the LED chips face 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. I have ordered many of these LED retrofit kits, and I've never found in the instructions anywhere where they talk about this orientation of the LED chips. In my last video I did on the Solstice where I dealt with this problem, it had kind of like a little Allen key, and these here are real easy to change. You just kind of flip them like that in 90 degrees and you throw them in. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some new H4 connectors. I'm going to use plastic because there's plastic here. Yeah, I know they make these out of ceramic, and you know, if you have a halogen light, these might be good in ceramic because you don't want them to melt down. But I'm just going to cut them back as far as I can and still get this plug in there. And then we'll use a crimper here. We'll make a real nice crimp out of it, put some shrink tubing in it, and then stick these in there in the correct orientation as well, and call it a day. Let's pull the old ones out, see what it looks like in there. Well, I'm very happy how these headlights turned out. I think they look great. But now, I have these dollar store fog lights and I really don't like it all. You can see this big gap in there and yeah, they really don't fit. Plus, they look cheap as hell. So I think I'll change those out. Okay, so I pulled that light and here you can see kind of how it was. Man, look at that. That probably cost $2.50 to make. So I think I'll find a better alternative, something that it would even look even better if it were, you know, pointed out towards the side like it's supposed to, instead of in there like that. But I don't like this. So I had a set of these laying around. These are Hella 550s. Real common, but you can see that it's going to be a little bit big and I would end up cutting the bumper here, and well, I really don't want to do that. Then I had these Pias I picked up at a yard sale. I love Pias. They're real high quality lights. Every time I see a set that's used, I try to buy them. Now these look like they're just a little bit small for the hole. See if we can get it up in there. Yeah, there you go. But those don't look too bad either, but you know, there's a little bit of space problem here. So I had another set of Pias laying around. Now these are really old ones from, I think like the early 80s, maybe 81, 82. They don't sell anything like this anymore. But looky there. Fits perfectly. So I think I'll mount these in there. Well now, there they are. They look pretty good. You know, I had some trouble with this one. You know, they had that speed nut in there. Probably not supposed to have been in there. The other side had a nut that was welded onto the bracket, so I kind of made it like the other side. But still, they don't quite fit right, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that yet. But it was really good luck finding those Pia fog lights down here. You know what? This front spoiler here was probably made at the same time, and it's in the same kind of vintage that those Pia lights were manufactured, and it's probably what they spec to put in this bumper here. So they fit really well. I'm happy with it. So now I can move on. I was going to do some tail lights and that kind of thing, but you know, when I open the trunk or the frunk and the deck lid back there, they fall right back down on me. So I'm going to have to do a lot of maintenance inside of these areas. So maybe put an amp up front and, you know, of course, pull the motor in the rear eventually. So I definitely want to put some lift supports in that can, you know, well, keep the trunk up while I'm in there. If you're not subscribed yet, do that. And thank you for watching.